I initially started this work from beech forests in South Island, and we were using pegs like this to hold it down. So it's beech forest, it's a bit soft, but the ground, underneath the moss, it's pretty hard.
Yeah,
so
right.
that's really good for us. But I wonder if shorter ones might be better in some
Yeah,
places.
the shorter ones on my ground were quite adequate. Yep. No worries on here in the river silt here.
Yeah, I suppose especially farmland probably.
Yeah.
There's another area down South Island, especially in braided rivers. We use waratahs quite a bit, and they actually tie the traps onto the waratahs with fencing wire. It's because they know the flood's going to come through. So I've put a couple of holes in the front, and there's a couple of holes in the back. We can put some fencing wire, lace that through and tie it onto a waratah. So.
I guess if you've got pigs as well, we have a few problems where we've got pigs in our lowland forests here. They'll roll the trap around, so having it pegged with waratahs and wired in would stop a pig carting off, especially if there's a dead rat or something in there, fresh bait. So
you could even use your peg like that, because it's got a hole through the centre, and use a bit of soft wire on that to tie it in, maybe. What do you think about the ramp? So I've made this ramp so that the distance from the ramp down to the treadle is a little drop down. It's about 4 or 5 millimetres, depending on how much the treadle sort of bends up.
Oh, I love it. I put ramps on all of my wooden dock boxes for exactly the same reason, that the animal is delivered onto the plate, not climbing up onto it. What you find often too with these traps is the more they go off, the more they get bent. And I've found situations where mice or weasels are going in under the plate, and having that up there just avoids that problem as well.
So we got the air baits in the lure guard. Just careful of the trap, even though we got the safety on. So the lure guard, so you can see that quite well through the sort of transparent grill. But some people like to put their lures on the ceiling of the traps. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we do the same. We put in our dock boxes, we put a nail just under the ceiling, and the bait goes onto the nail. Two things there is that it's up higher, so the scent's flowing through the box, but also when the animal's coming into the box, it's looking up. So yeah, it's again a slight behavioural sort of thing. Every little bit helps. Always 1%ers that count up in the end.
So we made a small hole just in the top here, and the same screw that we used to hold the lid down fits in there. You screw that through.
And you just put your bait onto the screw?
Yeah, so I've got a little bit of a raise here. Got to screw this all the way in, of course, but you're only doing it the once. So put that in like that, and then just jam the bait on there. And there she is. And you can even see it just above the level of the grill.
And just that slight elevation will just help with the breeze, just with the scent. Where so many traps just sit in the landscape whispering, we've got to make our trap site shout and have a much bigger sphere of influence than just this small area here.
Yep. We get a lot of hedgehogs especially around Banks Peninsula, Canterbury. So what we've done here, so the hole is a normal Kia sized hole, 60 millimetres. We put a small step down here. If you cut with a hacksaw down there and across to there, you get an 80 millimetre hole. So Lincoln University did some research on what size holes can hedgehogs go through, and they found 80 millimetres. Gets all except your really big males. So before that was a simple way, you got to cut it off, but easily increase that entrance to 80 mil. Increase
the versatility. Yeah. Every project site's different, got a separate lot of challenges, so flexibility is always good.
Just enough room for a mouse trap in there. Didn't want to make too much room in the back because everything just gets bigger. But yeah, you can put a mouse trap in there. But so you reckon you should screw these down?
What I've found is I've lost so many mouse traps where the mouse comes across the plate, gets hit in the trap and then thrashes around, and you end up with your trap or your lure guard on the plate and it gets smashed. So just screwing that down will avoid you having to replace your mousetrap too regularly.
Some research I saw that Doc had come up with was that a fresh mouse is rebaits your trap. So that's better than a fresh egg plus erase. They reckon was equivalent to a mouse in your mousetrap.
Yep. absolutely. And of course the smell of the mouse coming back and forth leaves a scent trail, which is animals like weasels and stoats are cued in onto those prey scent trails as well.
I use a lot of mayonnaise as pre-feeding, and when I set my traps, I also put mayonnaise in the back. I think from what I've seen, that mayonnaise only lasts 2 or 3 days and the mice have got it. But I reckon it's still served its purpose.
And the
brought
mice,
those mice in.
the mice scent is still
Yep.
there.
Yep.
And in fact, I have this 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 baiting strategy where I use 1/3 of my bait here, I use 1/3 of my bait around here, and I use 1/3 of my bait
Yep.
within a 10-metre radius of the trap. So again, the trap site is shouting in the landscape, it's not sitting whispering. If you've just got a wee bit of mayonnaise there, it's got a sphere of influence of perhaps 30 centimetres around that mayonnaise, but if you've got mayonnaise here and there and over there and over there, then your trap site is starting to speak to a much bigger landscape, and your animal's got more chance of encountering, and then that's where all the scuffing and all that sort of comes into play as well. So there's a lot we can do with all our traps to increase the interaction rates and the interest.
So this whole setup of the Nestgard box and the trap weighs 2.1 kilos. So that enables me to carry 10 of these, which is 21 kilos. That's quite a load, and I can do that on the flat country. The other day I put out a line in the Lewis Pass going from the valley floor up to bushline. So it's a 650 metre climb, and my wife and I, we're both well into our 60s. We got that 30 trap line out in one day.
Nice.
Just because we could carry these. Because it was a climbing line, we were carrying 5 each, but that was still, so 10 each time, so it was 3 trips.
And if you compare that to a wooden box, you got 7 kilos with a single trap on a freshly built H4 treated box. So 3 boxes versus 5 for half the weight. It's a bit of a no-brainer, really.
Well,
that will have a smell. There'll be volatiles coming off that, and that'll weather over time.
Yep.
But the box, you've got the H4 treatment. That smells pretty toxic and hostile as well. So you probably got similar types of issues. You've got foreign chemical smells coming off a treated box, and you've got foreign chemical smells coming off a piece of plastic. Over time, that will fade away. We always put our boxes out for 6 weeks, baited without being set, so the animals get used to it, and you might do the same for this. I'm not sure, but I don't know. I guess time will tell about how these things weather and what they smell like.
We put a line of 200 double set Doc 200s in the Doubtful Valley, so that's a Lewis Pass, Southern Alps. It took us 6 months before we caught one animal at all.
Wow.
It took us 18 months before we started catching regularly, whereas with plastic boxes, we find we're catching in the first week. When we had all those double set Doc 200s in a hay barn, you'd walk in there and the smell of that H4 treatment, I don't have a really good nose.
Yeah.
Man, it was a stink. And I was thinking, this is such a chemical environment. So when you go into a plastics factory, and so, where they're making these, there is a smell in there, but it's nothing like the smell of a whole barn full of treated timber.
And it's highly volatile, and it probably flares off quicker than H4 treatment out of wood, eh?
These are made of polypropylene. It's fully recyclable. This is the same material that you would make plastic cutlery and drink bottles and things like that.
Okay.
Or coffee cups, because polypropylene is known to be harmless to humans. So if it's harmless to humans, I don't see what it would do for rats. This has got a number of use cases. This is a smaller trap than what a lot of people are used to with the 200 size, but the 150 has the same kill power as the 200. It's rated for the same number of animals. It's got the same spring in it. So you can use this exactly the same targeted animals as what you're using a 200 in, but it's quite a bit lighter, smaller. So for us in Southern Alps area, so we can lift it up into those climbing lines much easier, but you can also go into other areas where you've got, like you were talking about, wetlands.
Absolutely.